sometimes you need to stop being a little bitch and you just need to take some fucking action.
Yes. Oh, I love it. I'm so here for it. I'm so into it.
Sort of like, and like the spark dies out, and like we're like, I forgot. Was I excited about something?
We're back. We're back.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast.
No one's letting you forget in the club. That is for fucking sure.
Are you in lots and lots of pain? How bad is the pain?
Fuck you fucking asshat.
Having fun dancing in the floor.
Number one, why am I falling? Number two, you ruined everything.
Oh, so good. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. We had a few technical difficulties getting on here today, but where there's a will, there is a motherfucking way. And we're here. We did it. Good job, us. Everything else is just like icing on this immaculate cake. So, welcome. How are you doing? How's your day been? What's shaking?
It's been a vibe. I'm really excited to be here. I'm excited to see what comes out of our mouths today. I'm excited for this topic that we're diving into. This topic of sometimes you need to stop being a little bitch and you just need to take some fucking action.
Yes. Oh, I love it. I'm so here for it. I'm so into it.
I'm kind of in that mode right now myself, though. Like I think you and I are both in that frequency. Is like, I think there's a season and a time for inaction. There's a time to marinate. There's a time to introspect. There's a time to go inwards. There's a time to do healing work. And then there's a time where you're like, I know that if I go back to that work right now, I'm completely in that mental masturbation. I'm completely in that like intoxication and web of I need to fix something so that I can do the thing. And it's like, no, sometimes you just need to do the fucking messy thing, because clarity comes from messy action. It just comes. I have like literally inside the club, I was saying this to one of the members the other day. I'm like, I have a masterclass in the club called Just Fucking Do It. Like just fucking do it, because sometimes you just need to fucking do it. And I think that so often we have so many great things that we want to do and so many great things we want to say, and that little voice comes in and is like, oh, nobody cares, or it's not the right time. I'm not ready, or you should really learn a few more things, or like kind of anything that comes in. And when you start to realize it's just a protective part coming in to, keep you in the state, has a lot of invested interest in us staying in the current state and personality and identity that we are in, and knowing that we kind of have that guardian who's always like looking around being like, back off, you're about to transform, go away, like don't want that. I don't know how to support you. That ego is very, very fascinating. And so the last, I'd say probably like few days especially, I've been really in that space of just fucking do it. Like don't overthink it, underthink it, like just underthink it and go and just take the action and see what unfolds. Because it's like trying to prepare yourself and learn everything about the thing you're trying to do, versus just like sometimes you got to dive in the deep end and sink or swim, motherfucker.
Well, it's so true. And like, I think that's why people like stay like in these flatline lives, or as we like to call it, like the beige zone, because they're literally trying to figure out all the moves before they ever make one. They're like, I need everything to be like perfectly curated and it all needs to make sense. And like, I don't want to have to feel that edge of uncertainty or the unknown and leap. I want it kind of nicely paved, and well, that day never comes. And so because we're waiting for that day and it never comes, we end up staying in these flatlined relationships, careers, lives that don't inspire us, and then we wonder where all the fucking time went. Versus sometimes you just have to jump in there, like you said, and it's going to be messy, and you're not going to know how to do everything like when you first start, but that's how you build a fucking life that's worth living, is you figure it out. You get on the fucking court and play the game. Like, it's mind-boggling to me. And it's also like so wild to see within myself, like all of the excuses or justifications or reasons I have for not taking action. So like, little ding from the universe.
Universe is like, ding, ding, you're right on track.
Good job. Good job. But, you know, I have to take a look at the life that I want to build for myself and then get really fucking honest with me. Am I acting in alignment with that life, with the person I want to become, the things I want to create? Like, am I actually showing up right now in a way that's going to allow me to pave the foundation to actually generate what I want to generate? And that often comes down to telling my excuses, my reasons, and my justifications to fucking suck it and to just take action. Because I am the queen of, oh, I just need to learn one more thing. Or, you know what, I think I need to journal 10 pages before I can write that email. Or, like, I will find any fucking spot to slither and sneak out of doing the thing that I know is actually going to be like the big bones, like this is going to set me on my track and on my path. And I'm the queen of delaying that. And also I have learned to get fed up with that part of myself faster. So like I don't have as much tolerance for it anymore. But I have gone years, like, let's be honest, avoiding things because I'm like, it's more comfortable to just avoid it. And this is a familiar hell, but it's familiar. I know how to navigate it. Versus if I do and take that big, bold action, it propels me onto a path that is unfamiliar. And then I'm really going to have to show up for myself. Because I think that's like a big thing for people, you know, whether it's leaving a job or a relationship or like moving to a city or a country that you've always wanted to live in, or like even becoming an artist or whatever it is you want to do. You know, there's this part, at least that's come up for me, of like not actually believing in myself and believing in my capabilities to create what I need in order to have that go well. And so if I'm already relating to myself as though I'm incompetent and unable to navigate those challenges, well, of course, that's what's going to manifest. And so I can keep myself really bound by that type of thinking. And then it gives me, you know, a bunch of very legitimate reasons to not go forward with the thing that my soul is like, bitch, get going. Like, come on. Like, you were not put on this planet. You wrote a post a while ago of like, Groundhog Day is not the motherfucking vibe. And like, and that's what it reminds me of, right? Like when we don't take those big, bold actions, we end up in this Groundhog Day where we're just repeating the same shit over and over and over, longing for a different life, but not willing to be an active participant in creating that for ourselves. Like this is a big one. It's a big, big, big one for people.
This is a fucking big one. I mean, I'm obsessed with everything you just said. Like soaking all that in. But it really, it is. And it's so frustrating and sad to see so many people like on the edge of that actualization, but like so nervous to take that leap or just falling back to sleep. I mean, the nervous system loves to, and the subconscious loves to put us back in that slumber. It's just like, go to sleep, go to sleep. That like amnesia state, it's just like, you know, it's just like, I forgot who I am. And I think that that's why community and repetition of being in spaces and places and finding yourself a community where you're reminded frequently, right? Because it's like, if we have a lot of people in our lives who subscribe to us being a certain way and like that, it could be very threatening right? And there's a payoff if we stay the same in those spaces and places, right? That crabs in the bucket analogy, or like, you know, if we start making changes, like it's just, I think having people around us who are up to big, bold things is really, really important. And that's, I think, why, like, even in the club, we see some really big things happening in there. They always had that, everyone in there already had it in them. It's just that, like, they're being reminded constantly about who the fuck they are and what they're capable of. And they have you and I cheerleading and championing them, and the other members in the group cheering and championing them. And that's a constant reminder of like who they are and what they could do. And it's so beautiful to see that community really come alive and see their gifts come alive and see that networking and seeing, like, just, you know, it just reminds us there's like great people out there who want the best for us and want to see us thrive and want to see us in that, like, you know, you and I are really playing into this like main character energy and helping people create these rich, hot, thriving lives and businesses and passion projects and whatever they're passionate about. And I think that's been really, really cool. And I think this month that you and I are focusing on, which is around like power and the reclamation of power and personal power. And it's not about what you do once, it's about what you're doing consistently, right? It's like we have these breakthroughs, you know, you could listen to a podcast or read a book or see something on Instagram, and it's that like, oh yes, like reminder. And then we have like a little surge of energy, and then it's sort of like, and like the spark dies out, and like the, you know, we're like, I forgot, was I excited about something? And so I think to hit over those edges, it's really important to have that strong reminder consistently, so that you are seeing other people taking the leap. Like you see it in community. There's been like studies where it's like if you're going on a massive hike or something and you're by yourself, it's a lot more daunting. But if you're like the same hike with a group of people, all of a sudden it becomes so much more manageable, right? It's like not you alone. You're not lone wolfing it, trying to, you know, come out of your old protective patterns. You have people who are like, you could do this. And I think that like unwavering belief that we have in our community they calibrate to that, and they start like, I think we're also, something about you and I think that's really cool is that we do not co-sign each other's shit, you and I. And we also do not co-sign the shit of anybody in the club. Like we will love and support and hold compassionate care for them. Sure. But I can't subscribe. I mean, you and I have had calls like this in our like tier 2 coaching calls where like like they're beautiful and we're holding space for them to like, you know, be in all the feels. And then you and I are like, I love you. And I cannot co-sign that because because it's not bullshit. Real. And you can see the eyes, and I think we do it in a playful way where I think that's the thing is like you see people's eyes light up. So whether that's coming in our club or whether it's you finding your own community that works for you, I think, you know, a really beautiful way to start to unhook from this sort of like that space you were talking about earlier is to find community. Yes. And is to surround yourself with people and places that are going to remind you, and they're not going to try to tear you down or take you down or try to bring fear or instill fear. Like I remember when I was about to open up the studio, the gym, my first brick and mortar business, and I mean, I was just like gung-ho. I had a spiritual awakening. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to change the world. It's going to come through fitness and, you know, all the things. And I was like high as a kite, and people were like, I don't think it's a very good time to open a business. The economy is not very good. I don't think you're going to find anywhere that you can rent or lease a space. And of course, I'm like a fucking cowboy. I'm like, oh, really? Fucking watch me. Bitches. I got no business experience. I got no accounting experience. I got no anything experience.
I'm doing it.
But I got a fucking vibe, and that vibe's going to have, I mean, that, you know, and that vibe got me 8 years of business. You know, I sold the business last year. But like that, it's just, it's, if we allow people to instill that type of fear, it's very easy to get taken down. So I think, like I said, community and, just having people around who aren't going to co-sign your shit if you're really serious about making changes and 100%. If you want to start taking those big, bold steps. So,
well, and I love this thread of community because we are a byproduct of the 5 people we spend the most time with. And so if the people that are in your inner circle aren't playing a big fucking game in life, well, you're not going to likely play a big game in life either, because that is too threatening to the foundation of those connections. Because you being in your big, bold expression and like making this like magnificent life, and you're like, actually, the status quo doesn't actually appeal to me. Like, I don't think that's hot. And I'm going to go do this thing. And then it holds up this mirror to the people that you've been surrounding yourself with. And that mirror is really, really confronting, because it'll showcase to them where they're not fully living, where they're not fully like in their potential. And instead of meeting that with the graciousness and the consciousness that we can, a lot of people instead will just kind of push it to the shadow, push it to the side, and try and take down the person who is doing something big because they find it threatening. And listen, it can be like if you're in a romantic relationship and you're both kind of like co-signing each other's smallness and limitations, and then one person has an awakening and they're like, wait a second, like there are dreams in me that I need to go and create. That is so threatening to the relational foundation, because on that journey, you could find that you are no longer a match, or you may not grow in the same directions or at compatible paces. And so there's a huge threat to the relationship when one person wants to become more conscious and wants to get more on purpose. And so this is why I'm always such a huge advocate for being so intentional with how you get into a relationship and who you choose. Like, don't just fucking choose someone because they're hot or they have a nice dick or a nice pussy. Like, choose someone who's actually aligned, you know, and that goes for your romantic connections, but it also goes for your community connections. And I don't know that I would be here without the community that I have built and fostered and been part of over these last 15 years. Like even my move to Vancouver happened inside of community. I was doing landmark education at the time, and it has its faults, but like there's also so many pieces to that community that were so fundamental in me getting here, because I was getting pushed on a weekly basis. Like, I was in a program where we were meeting every single week and we were having to integrate what we were learning in these seminars. And that meant taking big, bold, consistent action with the person that we were here to become, that we were claiming that we were. And we had to declare our moves, our actions to not only accountability partners, but to the whole group. And like the program I was in, there was like 100 people. So like you're getting in front of this group once a week and you're declaring, this is what I'm going to get up to. And then you come back next week and they're going to challenge you on that. You don't get to like slide and be slippery and be like, oh, I didn't do the thing. Like, you're going to get fucking called out. And that's going to be embarrassing. And so there's this built-in energetic where, everyone kind of rides that momentum. And like when you're a part of a group of people who are taking big, bold, consistent action, whatever that is for them, you feel the energy of aliveness coursing through those communities. And that's where you kind of get on that momentum train with them. And you're like, whoa, like we're going places here. And it was in that program that I had been talking like, oh, I love Vancouver. I love it. And my teacher was like, so what are you going to fucking do about it? And there's that one question. And I was like, what? And he's like, well, you talk about this a lot. Like, you say that you want it, but you take no action to make that a reality. So I don't think you actually want that.
You're like,
And
challenge,
I
motherfucker.
was like, bring it on, bitch. Don't tell me that I can't do something. And like it was the thing that I needed to like break the spell of like, oh, he's right. Like I'm just sitting in the fucking paddling pool of my excuses and my reasons and my justifications and like playing into like this hope of like, the fantasy of what my life would be like if I just did this, but like I'm doing nothing to create it. And so I get to stay where it's familiar, where it's comfortable, where I'm not being stretched at all. And, plug into this fantasy. So I get to kind of live it out that way, but I never get to live it in real life. And he just wouldn't co-sign my bullshit. And he was like, no, pick a day. And I was like, what? He's like, pick a day. When are you moving? And I was so confronted. And like, he wouldn't let me get off the mic until I'd picked a day. And this was like such a pivotal point in my story because I knew I had to pick something that was within range. I couldn't be like, I'm going to move next week because I knew that I wasn't going to. And so I sat with it for a very uncomfortable amount of time for everybody in the audience and myself included.
You're like, my internet's not working. Sorry, I gotta go.
He's like, we're in person, dum-dum.
Oh.
This was way, way before COVID when we still did in-person stuff.
Oh. He's like, yeah, sorry, we're in person right now. You're like, what?
Like,
what happened?
TikTok, time's ticking.
Yeah.
But I sat with it and I really contemplated what is the true thing for me. And I knew that my brother was getting married in April and I knew the date of his wedding. And I was like, you know what? I obviously am not going to leave before that. But after his wedding, I have nothing that binds me to this city. And so I picked 2 days after my brother's wedding. I was like, that's the day. And that is the day that I moved. I literally packed my car, drove across 2 provinces, and started a whole new life. And it was that first big, bold action of the declaration of like, this is what I am committed to doing and knowing that I was committed to doing it. And then the next step of that was taking the action. So like there was obviously stuff that came up prior to moving. I didn't have a house. I didn't have a job. Like I had nothing planned. But like I was so far in the momentum of it by that point. And I was like, I'm going to look really bad if I don't do this. And well, can't have that happening. So let me just, go for it. And I ended up, finding a place 3 days before I moved. And then I just put myself in community. I obviously didn't know anyone. So I found the landmark community in Vancouver and I immersed myself in it. It was the best way to meet people locally who cared about some of the same things I cared about. And it was through that community that I reconnected with a friend who we ended up like creating multiple businesses together, this social circle that is soul family. Like all of these things happened in community. And it was a very specific type of community. It's the type of community where people are playing at an elevated level, where they're not just going through the fucking motions of Groundhog Day, hoping and praying that they'll win the motherfucking lottery and somehow their life is just going to magically change overnight. Like those types of people bore the fuck out of me because they're not creating. And it's not that they can't create, it's that they're actively choosing not to. And sometimes that means that there's just a lot of stuff that they have to deal with. Like their container is full. There's probably a lot of emotional constipation that they have to wade through to get to a place of really trusting themselves and their body to, make the moves they need to make in order to create the life that they were here to live. And I don't want to make it sound like it's just the easiest thing to take that action. It's fucking not. Even for us, like when we're getting called to take bigger and bigger action, we still get confronted. We just talk about it and process it and then hold each other capable to going and doing it. And then we celebrate the fuck out of each other when we do. So it's in relationship, it's in connection, it's in community that all of these things become possible. So that's my little tangent on that.
Doing a standing ovation. I am in it. Yes. And here's the thing. We're not always going to have the modes and the moments of like, fuck yeah, energy. You know, like that's not our vibe. We do have these seasons and cycles.
Yep.
But we all have them at some point. Something catalyzes us, something inspires us, something activates us. And there are those like light bulb moments, or those moments of like zing zing. Okay, I feel awake, I feel alive, I feel online. I'm not asleep at the wheel right now.
Yes.
And it's those moments, at least for me, that I found very helpful to just click the link, make the commitment, put the deposit down, whatever the thing is, because that's how I've always expanded my capacity or my container to hold more. Like even with the dance classes, I signed up for these like sexy dance classes. Like I've never danced in my life. And I turned 40 and I was like, fuck this shit. You know what? When I turn 40, I'm going to become a dancer, because why the fuck not?
Yes.
I feel like I'm Benjamin buttoning. I'm like reverse aging because I'm like just having more fun and being more playful and ridding myself of all the fucking crazy ass shit that's just been like weighing me down.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, my energy's been increasing and I'm like, fuck it. Like, why not just go and do it? And so, you know, logically it makes no sense. And like logically, like, you know, I think as an adult, it is sometimes harder to start those things. When you're a kid, a lot of people are new at things, but when you're like midlife and you're like, oh, let me go start something where I can look like a total fucking asshat in. That sounds wonderful. Perfect. Yay! I get to go look like an absolute beginner, like a fucking 2-year-old could outdance me. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this shit. I don't care. So like, again, I had a moment of like openness and a moment of divine intervention. And I was like, moment of inspiration. And I'm like, I'm going to take the action. So I put down the deposit. Then like, I was like, well, fuck, I'm already $200 or $300 in on my deposit. Like, I'm not going to back out now. And so like, if I had thought about it for too long, I likely would have backed out of it, right? Because the brain comes on, well, you only have your girls a few nights a week, and you only have that night, a couple nights off, and it's not going to make sense. You don't like to work out at night. You don't like to dance at night. You're going to be home late. You're not allowed to work out. Like there's all these reasons that start to slowly seep in and usher in and give us all the reasons. And we're like, you're right. And it's like the ego's like, yes, go back to sleep. Night, little baby.
Back to the playpen.
Back to the playpen. And we're like, and then we were sitting in the playpen the next day being like, oh man, I just want to go on the big park and down the big slide and I really want to be free. And then, you know, we try again. And so it's like in those moments when we're crawling out of the playpen and we're like halfway to the playground, that's usually when that like the ego, the subconscious, the protective parts come online and bitch slap us back to the playpen. But I think that this is where making moves, it's the best visual, making moves. I have 2 kids too, so I can like totally laugh. And I'm like, fuck yeah. I think making moves when we are feeling inspired and we are feeling that sense of like, okay, fuck. Like I know for me, if I'm feeling something, I mean, the other day I was signed up for like this nervous system money certification thing to like really teach her on that, because I'm like, this is an area that I'm really inspired by, and like I'm on a call with her and she's just like, this is the price, and I was like, yeah, I'm making that investment. Like I was just like, yep, here's my credit card. Like it just, I had to, because none of it would have made sense, and I know I would have talked myself out of it, and it was a hell yes in the moment. So I think starting to trust ourselves that even if we have a moment where we commit to something, and even if we fuck up, or even if we like are like, oh fuck, I don't know, I'm having this like hangover now, it's just like there's no right or wrong moves. There's just fucking moves. And sometimes they're going to be I've made horrendous moves. I have had very costly, I made a move one time that was like a $15,000 US move. And I literally like tapped out within months of like a few months of this like year-long thing. So I was like, this person's a fucking asshat. And like, this is just not my vibe. And that was a very expensive move. That I've had moves but what did I learn? So much through that process. I learned about my shadow. I learned about why I was triggered by the person. I learned about why I didn't like how I would never run my own business. Like I learned it was so valuable. And sometimes in life, if you think about it, it's the moments that bitch slap us, or it's the moments that, don't work out the way in which we would have liked, our mind liked, that we actually have some of the most impact, because we're like, whoa, lesson learned. That was painful and that was expensive, or that was whatever the thing is. But I'm not going to go back. So like, I think sometimes people get paralyzed around like the right move or the wrong move, or I don't know how to take action. I don't know which action to take, because what's the right or wrong thing? And I'm like, there is no right or wrong thing. There never is a right or wrong thing, right? It's always going to lead us. There's just the thing. And I think doing the work to trust yourself more and more, and to trust your intuition, and to start to learn how to experience those gut feelings. And if you don't know how, in the club I've got a great it's called Intuition, the Intuition Container, and it's all around like helping you come back to self, and explaining how everything's energy, and explaining how to like understand intuition. So if you are interested, you can come join us in the club there in our tier 2. But like, there's so many pieces, I think, around trusting intuition, and starting to reconnect with the body, and starting to understand, and like, you know, the work you do in the club, and you know, we really get people into their bodies to understand their intuition, to understand their yeses and their nos, so that they can make moves when they feel the urge, when they feel that like excitement, when they feel that inspiration, right? So I think that's you know, I think what a challenge would be, if you're listening, well, you're obviously listening right now, but like
maybe you're not.
If you're listening right
maybe
now,
you tune
maybe
out.
you're not. Maybe you're fucking zoned out. So if you're zoned out, chop back to the podcast. Come back. And that's actually a sneaky thing the mind does too. It actually starts to drown out and filter out information that is not on the same vibrational frequency of your current state. So like, even if Kelsey and I are talking, you're like, these bitches are so fucking annoying. Oh, look, I need to go and make some food, or I need to do this over here. Like, the brain does that to literally like, oh, like all of a sudden you're like, I'm in a trance and I can't hear anything. I've had that before.
Hypnotize you back into your smallness.
Back to sleep right now. So maybe that's why that just happened.
Baby.
But like, you know, oh, good. I think the thing is to challenge yourself in the moments of inspiration, just to take a move, or to send the text and just say, here's my 3 seconds of courage. If I was 3% more courageous, what would I do? If I was 3% more authentically me, or tapped into my truth, what move would I make? If I was, you know, and a beautiful, Kelsey and I are going to be diving into this on our webinar even more, but like talking about this like U 2.0 version, U OG version. And the U 2.0 I see is like your authentic version is the truth of who you are. It's like, you know, more aligned to source and spirit. And your like OG version is the conditioned, it's the fully hinged, it's the like
straight and
completely attached
narrow
to the door, straight and narrow. It's just like, you know, good and bad, up and down, you know, it's very sort of more linear, it's more conditioned. I think that like a good question is like, what would, if you're deciding whether to take action or freaking out about something, it's like, what would OG version of me do, and what would me 2.0 do, right? And you and I are going to be really diving into this inside of the webinar coming up soon. So if you haven't registered, click the link in the bio, or just click the link in the show notes. And then also, this is what we're diving into this month in the club, is like that personal power. It's like really establishing a new identity. It's bringing those higher selves back online, and bringing those, you know, dissolving some of the chaos in the way and the conditioning, so we can see clearly. And then that allows us to take smoother action, and to actually start moving our life forward. Because if you think about it, like, imagine like you're playing a fucking video game, and you're like, the player, it hits a wall, and it's like, okay. And then like, you know, you can imagine how fun it would be. The player just, you know, you have like players just kind of like running on the spot, and you're like, okay. And imagine like what would happen to your player, and how fucking boring the game would be if you just were like, well, I don't know. And it's like, well, just make a move, like take some action. It's like, well, I don't know where to go. And it's like, just take any action. Just do something. Yeah, and eventually you can imagine that character, that avatar's life force is going to start to diminish, because you're not making any moves. And I think this is what has happened a lot to the collective, is that we've forgotten that we're these fucking like jaguars, we're these cheetahs, we're these fucking like wild apex big animals. We're like cats. These big fucking cat energy, or big dick energy, or whatever it is. Like, we have this
big pussy energy.
Yes. And so we think we're like we put ourselves in the playpen, because we're like, well, no, I'm actually supposed to be out like fucking chasing shit and like doing wild ass things in the wild. But I've forgotten that about myself. And so that's where Kelsey and I are like, let's wake you back up to who you are and what you're capable of creating, because you just forgot. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing that needs fixing. You just need a little zing, catalyzing energy. And that's where I think you and I are really come in handy.
We're really good at that. And I think it's also important to just note that these last 4 years that we've all collectively gone through have been a fucking shitstorm. And so if you got caught in the undertow of that, and like, let's say pre-COVID, you were like a zinger, and then COVID hits and like you get pulled into the collective undertow, and then you've forgotten who you are, that is fucking normal. Like, we went through a collective trauma together, and we're starting to emerge through that. So I mean, I even got pulled into that undertow, and like, there are parts of me that, you know, I kind of dimmed down, or I pulled back, or I wasn't like as out there as pre-COVID. Like, pre-COVID, Kelsey Unhinged was a vibe. And also, like, these 4 years have grounded my energy in a way that I can see was very purposeful. And while it was like this 4 year like incubation almost of kind of being way more internal than I have ever been, being very, very selective with my relationships and who gets to come close, like reoriented my entire body of work, got on track with music. Like, there were so many things that happened, while also experiencing the fuckery on this planet, and like dealing with a lot of grief, a lot of loss, injury. Like, there was a lot that happened in these 4 years. And so if you are feeling that, and it really worked you like it worked me and worked Christine, you're not alone in that. And it's time to like spark that fire back to life. We can't stay in that holding pattern forever. And, you know, you touched on this at the beginning of like, there are seasons where we are going to be more internal, and then there are seasons where we need to come back online, and we need to come back to life and start making those moves that are consistent and congruent with all of the wisdom that we gleaned in those phases of time when we have been more internal or more introspective, or when we go through something that is so fucking guttural. But we have to come through the portal, or we stay in the fucking swamp. And we've talked about this before on other podcasts, and we talk about it in the club a lot. But like, you can't stay in those murky, muddy waters and expect to have a sparkle fucking blast to the moon life. And like, my dream life is going to be different than yours and different than Christine's. And like, each of us has a vision for ourselves in our life. Like, and it's up to you to really carve that. And it's up to you to create that. It's not just going to be handed to you. It's not just going to magically show up one day. It's going to show up because you created it into form. Like, every day, I've been thinking about this a lot on my weed walks. I go into like these very like existential like thought patterns a lot of the time. And I've been thinking, like, every single moment of my day, I'm writing my future story. So like, every move I make today is writing a future chapter. And what chapter am I writing? What story am I writing? What, like, when I look back on my life at the end, am I going to be like, yeah, I'm really glad that, you know, that 4-year holding pattern that I was in, I'm so glad I just kept that going for the rest of my life. And here I am with all these dreams that died inside me. No, thank you. I would rather write a different story. And I imagine if you are here and you're connected to us in any way, shape, or form, that you are on that train too. And it's going to require something of you. It's going to require you to meet yourself. It's going to require you to be courageous and be bold and make the move that might not make logical sense, but it makes a lot of fucking intuitive sense. Because sometimes we have to take those more non-linear moves and actions that were like, this doesn't make a lot of sense, or like, this is not going to put me in a good financial position, or like, I don't know how I'm going to like make this work. But you have to go all in. And then once you're all in, you're 2 feet committed. That's when the portals open up. That's when the money shows up. That's when the community shows up. That's when the partner shows up. But you got to go all in. You can't just be like one toe in and be like, why isn't it happening for me? Or like having all of these external conditions that have to be met first before you'll take the action. Because those external conditions are never going to be met perfectly, and your ego will keep coming up with reasons and justifications to move the goalpost so that you never fucking have to move. And we have to understand these tricks that our mind plays and that our system likes to run so that we can actually outsmart them. And sometimes that is, I'm just going to put the deposit down. And I'm going to relate to myself as someone who is capable of creating what I need to create in order to have this work for myself. Sometimes it's going all in on a relationship. And, you don't have a guarantee that that relationship is going to work out, but you're going to go all in and you're going to show up in a way that allows that relationship to be created into something really beautiful. Sometimes that's taking the action to literally move, whether you want to move to a different part of your city, you want to move to a different part of the state or the province that you live in. Maybe you want to move to a different country. And we've talked about our friend Kate before who did this. She's such a badass. Where she just decided, she's like, see ya, suckers. Like, I'm out of here. I'm moving to Greece in the middle of the pandemic. And like, she didn't have it all figured out before she left. I think if she had tried to do it that way, she never would have done it. But she was like, nope, I'm going to go and I'm going to figure it out. And yes, it was messy at times. And we'll have her on at some point and she'll tell the story. But she figured it out. She's got her visa. She's got her place. Like, she's set up. And it was great because if she was waiting for, the dream partner or the dream job or the dream conditions, she wouldn't have taken the action she needed to take. But it was in backing herself. That's really how I saw it, was she really backed herself. And she knew that that was where she was supposed to be. She knew that she was not supposed to be in Vancouver. And she's like, maybe it'll be Greece, maybe it'll be London, maybe it'll be somewhere else. I don't know, but I just know I need to go. And she went, and then after she went all in on herself, that's when she met her person. That's when her podcast and her business really started to blow up. Because she was willing to say to the universe, you know what? I relate to myself as someone who is totally capable of doing this. And I don't know how I'm going to do it. And that's not important right now, but I'm going to go all in, show you that this is where my energy is going. And I'm staking claim for the type of life and, business and love that I'm here for. And now you do your magic. And the universe is like, sweet, send in the soulmate. Sweet, send in the money. Sweet, send in all of these wild opportunities for her business. Like, her life is so fucking magical, not because, she took some magic potion, but because she's willing to make moves that most people aren't even willing to consider making. And that's what's going to set, the people who are flatlined beige zone away from the people who are living in bright, vivid Technicolor. And if you are here, you're not beige. You're fucking Technicolor. And it's time to start acting in alignment with that, which means taking chances on yourself, making the moves, and trusting that even if it doesn't work out, it's working out. Because you're going to figure more layers of yourself out. It's always figure outable. you know, but when we need all the solutions or we need it to be all lined up before we even take a chance on ourselves, we'll never fucking take that chance on ourselves. And then you want to be 90 years old sitting in a rocking chair full of regret? I don't think so.
Well, just on that note, like one of my favorite quotes by Wayne Dyer, he said it was so poignant the first time I heard it, and it just like kind of stopped me in my tracks. And he's like, "Don't die with your music still in you."
Yes.
And I was like, "Oh, like it's so true, right? Like we came here with gifts and magic and things to do and creations and dreams, and we wouldn't have the dreams and the visions in our minds if we didn't have everything possible to actualize them."
Yeah.
But that's not the way the game is played. It would not be fun. Like, can you imagine how fucking boring it would be if you're like, I want a yacht, I want this, and just shows up, and you're like, do you know how fucking bored you would be?
So
like you'd
bored.
be like, you're not going to value things. You're not going to like experience the richness of life, right? And you and I are all about helping people design these like really rich, juicy, hot, like thriving era lives. Like it's just like this is your time to shine. And you know, I think the thing is like we love the satisfaction of like the hero's journey, or like hearing the stories of like from here to here, or like your own hero's journey. Like what does that look like? It doesn't matter who you've been to date and what you've done or haven't done, or all the fucking stories. It's like if you woke up with amnesia today and you didn't remember a fucking thing, like can you imagine what would be possible, right? Like we're the only species who hold on to shit.
Yeah, who
like
argue
if
for
an
their
animal's
limitations.
Yes. Do you know how unable I am to do that thing? I mean, we do that all the time. We're like, if only this, and like people give us suggestions, and I was one of those people. I can laugh and poke fun at that because I was one of those people, right? Like I would argue, and I still sometimes notice myself doing it, and then I like you know do a little like check in, and I'm like, what is that all about? And I'm like, oh, I'm just really scared.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like because again, sometimes we like if we really had the lives that we wanted, we say we wanted, it's like that would mean a lot of things would change, and change is very scary, and people resist change, right? Like if you were living the life you actually say you wanted, imagine what in your life would have to change. Probably a lot. And also like the version of you who is living that life is probably a different version. Like they have different habits, and they have different like ways of handling things, and emotional intelligence, and like it requires us, the universe is requiring us to become more authentic and a more clean, squeaky clean version of ourselves, so that we can hold that level of power as well. So we can hold, you see what happens when people get power who don't have the foundations. And that's what you and I are working on this month with the community, is because you see it all the time. You know, people get rich, they win the lottery, or they become celebrities, or they become, you know, massive, and they get these huge opportunities, and they don't have the energetic foundations to hold it, which is why they're in rehab 2 months later, or they take their own lives, or they're like, because it's such a intensity. And so I think building the foundations to hold the power while taking actions, and I think this is even where I've got caught up before. It's like, well, I'll build the foundations, and then I'll build even more stronger foundations, and then I'll coat them 14,000 times. Yeah. And it's the universe is like, bitch, the foundations are good. You need to take action now. It is time. It is that time in your life. You have to go. Have you seen that meme where like the chick's got she's got the like right over the edge, and she's like the higher self, and she's like, no, like, don't push me over the edge, right? She's like holding, like pushing the wheelchair, like, and she's like, go. It's like, I laugh because it's like that's sometimes what we need, right? It's that like we are cute with it. And I think that actually the funny thing is the more spiritual or like aware you become, like one of my mentors said to me, she's like, when you get that level of awareness, she said your ego and your protective patterns get that much sneakier.
Sure, yeah.
They become very, very sneaky. So even if you're like, I'm super aware and all the things, like those protective patterns, they come up in sneaky ways. So you might be, like you said, meditating and doing the things when your soul's like, take the action, just make that phone call or send that text message. And we're like, no, I need to meditate first. And even though it like sounds good and I need to drink my
I need to ground my energy.
green juice and I need to ground my energy and then and then all of a sudden it's 4:00 and you're like, oh, you know what, I'm tired and I should probably go and do another circle. And it's like, no, this is where you need to pick up the phone or send the email or fucking do the thing. It's just, and then you get to lean back again. And it's that dance, I think, of masculine and feminine and like just taking the action. And I think that I know for myself, I've lacked that divine masculine, that sort of like structure and that, discipline. I don't know if discipline is the word, but it's that sort of just taking an action and trusting that in whatever action I take, the universe is going to set up the perfect scenario or opportunity where I will be held. I have always been held. It has always been my experience. You know, I've taken big, bold actions, not even knowing where the fuck the money is going to come or the other things are going to come from. And they always show up every fucking time. And I've done some reckless things in the past. I am always protected. And it always works out. And, you know, I think that like, if you think of your life as well, it usually works out, right? Like there's usually... if you think about it to date, like most times you're okay, right? Like, and it does work out. And I think we have to be willing enough to have our egos bruised sometimes or to like, I don't know. Like, I just think, like you said, like I love to lead people through this meditation where I take them to like their 95-year-old self and they're meeting themselves. And it's like gaining the wisdom so that we don't have to live the life of mediocrity and of conditioning and programming and like asleepness to only get, like you see people when they get a diagnosis or they get a divorce or they have these massive rock bottoms or these things and all of a sudden they're like completely rattled awake and they're like, no, I don't want to die. I want this thing, or I actually care about things. Like there is that. And I've had that happen many times where it's taken that level to get me to wake up. And I believe that even if you're listening right now and you're like, I don't have a rock bottom and life's actually pretty decent, that's amazing. And there is an even richer, more powerful, more spicy, more unleashed, more unhinged version of you literally just waiting. And it's not about that right now is not enough. That's what we're saying. It's just like, do you want to see what you're really fucking made of? And do you want to start playing with these fun pieces? And do you want to have more fun? And do you want to create more wealth? And do you want to like really flip the script and be one of the leading edge change makers? And I think that's who we're really speaking to is like, you know, where we want to be working with the unconventional and the change makers and the rule breakers. And some of these, like, we're just, you know, and you and I are not intentionally going against the grain and trying to be like, you know, I think we're just really trying to live authentically and be ourselves and really honor and creating a business around that has been very healing, I think, for both of us to just be like, what would it be like if our business meetings consisted of you and I like dicking around and like fucking around but then we do like really great concentrated work and we always get what we need to get done. Or, you know, or having podcasts like this where we're like, okay, well, you and I were fucking around. We're like, what if we didn't even make show notes? Like that would be kind of like, what if we just decided that we didn't want to? And like, I don't know. We just thought about it. And like, maybe we won't one for one. Like, I don't know. It's just, it's when we allow ourselves and give ourselves permission to take messy action, we just find out, we learn really quickly, right? I mean, I think of how many times even a few years ago, I set up everything in the business. Like I went all in. I hired 2 people. I had the branding. I had the perfect everything. I set up everything, quote unquote, perfectly. The way I was supposed to. I was like, I'm going all in. I invested tons of money. I had all the people. And I got to it and I was like, and I was like, this is such a small part of me. And there's this whole ridiculous, off the rails, super spicy, dying at like really punchy memes and like ridiculous spirituality shit. And I'm like, she's like sad Sally in the corner being like, what about me? You neglected me in your business. And I was like, well, shit. And so I like completely dissolved that business. And so like, you know, and I had everything so set up. And so I'm not saying don't be prepared. I'm not saying like, you know, because I know there's all different personality types, and some people really like to have things like set, you know, certain things in motion to make them feel safe. And I also would say that like you're only going to know and find out whether you're really in love with something by just trying things and allowing yourself to be like, look at kids. You're not sitting there being like, they're like, well, I want to try dance and I want to try swimming. And you're like, oh, I don't know. You might suck. Like, so don't
weigh the pros and cons.
Let's make a list of all the ways you could fuck up and you could fail. And then let's see it. Like, no kid would ever try anything, right? Like, kids are naturally curious. They want to try different things. They don't, you know, they're not sitting there watching another kid walk and be like, well,
maybe that's not for me.
I can't walk. Yeah, I can't walk yet, and so I won't. I'll go and practice in the corner by myself, and nobody shall look at me. Like, we're so afraid of looking like idiots, and I think that, I don't know, I'm just a big, like, I love it, because I'm like, what if you go and take some messy action and it doesn't work out? You really haven't lost anything. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Like, this is like you and I, even with Club Unhinged, we're like, let's just fucking go do this. And then within our first month, we had like 19 members, and I was like, what the fuck just happened? But it's like, there wasn't stress. Like, wasn't this pressure and this stress and this like overwhelm, because we had spent so much time and energy trying to perfect it, which is really just a protective pattern for both of us. It's just, we just were like, let's just go and have a lot of fun. And then people were like, well, that seems fun. I like fun. Let's all want to sign up for fun. And like, you and I didn't have a sales page. We had nothing. We still don't. We're still don't have a sales page yet. We're working on it. But it's like, I don't know. I think just we what we believe to be true is what we're going to see, and what we expect is what we're going to experience in our lives. So I think just like playing with this idea and letting some of these words and what Kelsey and I are speaking about just like seed, and like let it marinate a little bit in you, and just ask yourself, like, what is a little one micro action that's like 3% bolder than my OG conditioned self, and what would they do? If I could do something that was just going to move the needle forward and just allow that energy flow and that life force energy to flow back online with me, and get the video game avatar character moving again, because the video game has gone to sleep because nothing's happening.
No one's playing it.
Well, and the universe can't use us when we're like asleep at the wheel. The universe is like, no way, because she's going to drive the car right off the road. Like, I need to use people, and I need to use people who are more alert and more awake, and like anyways, I could go on for this topic forever.
Fucking serve the energy. You know, I think that's what we do a good job at as well, especially with Club Unhinged, is we're just serving the energy. So it's not our minds or our egos that are like, this is what it needs to be. We're like, okay, what's the energy here? How do we serve it reverently? And it's a completely different way of doing business. And it's literally flipping all of the traditional business models and marketing models on their head. And we're just like, fuck it, we're doing what we want. And I think a lot could change on this planet. And if more people took that perspective in their respective lives, like, fuck it, I'm going to do what I want to do. And people hear that and they're like, oh, it's going to be complete carnage. You know, no one's going to consider each other. We need rules. We need rules. And again, they start arguing for the cage. They start arguing for the limitations before they even let themselves, like, take one foot out of the goddamn playpen, you know? And then they wonder why they're a buzzkill and no one wants to hang out with them. You know, or that their life just doesn't feel fun to be in, because like, you're not even letting yourself be creative. You're not letting yourself be bold. Like, sure, there are some quote unquote rules to business that you probably want to align with, but there's no like master rule list that says you have to. And like, you see this on social media all the time. People get obsessed about the algorithm. They're like, but the algorithm, I have to do this for the algorithm. Or you don't. Or how about you do what makes you come to life, and let that be enough. And let that be the thing that sends out the ripple that people who are on your vibe are going to catch. And they're going to get magnetized in. That's what you want. Like, but when we spend all this time mentally obsessing about things like the algorithm and like, oh, they just released a new update and this is, you have to do like 20 reels and like 10 carousels and blah, 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 blah. And people get so overwhelmed by that it kills off any desire to create. And I think that's why it's part of the matrix game here. And part of waking up is seeing that you're in a goddamn simulation. And you're like, wait a second, I don't have to play that game. Part of waking up is remembering that, well, you can play that game or you can make up your own. You can literally become the avatar in the video game again and just start going rogue. And no one's going to stop you except for you. You know, and obviously we're not saying go do things that are harmful to yourself or other people. Like that is not the invitation here. Because when you're working with spirit, when you're working with your soul, when you're working with your higher, most elevated you 2.0 self, your heart is open. And when your heart is open, there is zero interest in harming another person or acting in ways that are unrelational or acting in ways that are harmful. Like, it becomes obsolete. And again, like, people are relating to this from their level of consciousness. So like when we're in that more war combative consciousness, of course, we're going to think that that's going to translate when we upgrade, but you actually have to alchemize all of that in order to upgrade. And by taking the bold actions that are consistent and congruent with the person that you know that you are here to be and living the life that is truly on purpose for you, you start to cast these ripples of possibility out into the world and permission for other people to catch that vibe and give themselves permission to claim who they really are. And you get enough people doing that, there will be a tipping point. But there's not going to be a tipping point if you don't even participate in the casting of the ripple that can move a new timeline forward. So that's what we're really inviting you to do. And it can be something really simple. Like this past weekend, I was like, fuck it, I'm going to start a separate page just for my poetry and my writing. Like, it doesn't feel like the thing to be posting on my main page, like, because that's not what people come to that page for. But it's still something that needs to be expressed. And so I did it. I was like, you know what? Here we are. Beginner. We're starting anew. 0 followers. Here we go. Very humbling. And also, like, it's so enriching for my soul to have a place to express that material. And so it doesn't have to be like this big thing where you're like, I'm moving to Mars. You know, like, what if you just did the thing that you've been daydreaming about? Maybe that's painting a picture. Maybe that's writing a song. Maybe that's putting on some music and shaking ass in your living room. Maybe it is starting that business or, you know, moving somewhere else or getting into a relationship or ending a relationship. But like, the move is the move is the move. Just make it. Just fucking make it. End of TED Talk.
Mic drop. I really want to do a TED Talk or just drop the mic at the end. I'm just like, and mic drop, and I just walk off the stage.
We would never, ever get TED Talks because you know how scripted those things are? When I did mine, you have to have a script and you have to follow it. And if you veer off of it in any way, shape, or form, you get cut. So it's really not the stage for us. We need to go
work
rogue.
Around.
Oh,
I've got to work around. You're in the audience. I'm on the stage. You recording the whole thing.
yes.
I go rogue. We put it on YouTube. It goes viral.
Okay. I'm down for this. You're going to have to trick them by being like following your script on all the practice sessions. And then the day comes and you're like, bitches, let's light this. Here we go.
Zing, mic drop. Chased off the stage. Arrested. Doing podcasts from inside jail cell.
Get the car. Get the getaway car.
Start the car. Kelsey's making out with somebody. God damn it, get the fucking car.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think this is a perfect place to wrap it up today. What do you think?
Yeah, for you. I think you and I have to move this conversation over to our phone so that I'm not recorded.
Exactly. So we'll wrap it there. And we also want to invite you to come to our monthly webinar this month. We are doing You 2.0. So a lot of the themes that we talked about today, we're going to be diving into further on that webinar. And if you're already like, I need to get in the club, well, we agree. And come join the club. The links are in the show notes. It's very, very easy. Pick your tier, come on in, and let's get going. Let's make some moves.
Yeah, for sure. And you're going to see soon, Kelsey and I will announce it. We'll be talking about it later on. But some of the stuff we talked about today was more towards business and entrepreneurs and like that sense of creation and building. And so we're just going to plant a few seeds that we are building out something very special for anyone looking to infuse a lot more spice, sizzle, authenticity into their business and do it in a very unconventional way. We're going to have a very like powerful offering coming at a tier 3 in the fall. So we'll have a wait list so you can get on that as well. We'll just
and
drop
also
that.
We have a free challenge that we're going to be running all summer. We're not quite ready to give you the details on that, but if you're like, I kind of want to get in this groove and like get some momentum going, well, lucky for you, we have a free challenge that we will be hosting all summer long. And we'll be releasing that soon. And if you're serious about making changes and having a hot girl summer and living your best life, you better be in that challenge. We better see you.
Yeah. We'll come for you.
Where can I find you? Okay, that's all we got to say today. We love you, friends.
Okay, we got to wrap it up, Kels. We got to
wrap it up. Chop, chop.
Chop, chop.
We'll see you next week. Bye, friends.
We love you.
All in all, we want to say thank you for being here. We love and appreciate you so much. And if you liked today, give us a 5-star rating. And we'll see you next week.
And share it. If you know somebody who needs this in their life, share this shit. Abundance goes round and round. We love you.
We love you. Bye.